All right, so I've got a scene built. I've got this house with a hill. I added a plane, applied a concrete texture to it. I have a sky in the background. So now I want to maybe give consideration to my cameras in case I decide to do whether it's a screenshot or a rendering or whatever the case might be. I want to consider the angles that we would be viewing things from. So if you don't have a camera in the scene, you can simply go up to Add and go down to Camera. Or shortcut is to do Shift A, and you can also add a camera that way. Now, I do happen to have a camera in the scene, so for the moment, I'm going to skip that. But this camera is right here. It looks like a kind of like a pyramid with the base of the pyramid pointing towards what you are looking at in camera view. To go into that, you can simply push 0 on your number pad, and this is the view that you would be seeing in the camera if you do a rendering. Otherwise, the other thing you can do to get to that view is there's the grave symbol under the escape key. If I push that, it gives me options to see from different views as well. So good to know that. So as far as the camera goes, I can move it the way I would any other item. I can grab this, push G and move it around, or push G and select the specific axes that I want to move it around on. I can grab the R and rotate this guy, or R and Z and rotate it in a particular way. Now, the problem is I don't know what I've done. Well, I've got a pretty good idea of what I've done, but I need to go back to camera view. Oh, the other way to go into camera view is to push the toggle button for the camera. And we can see that I messed things up ever so slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just Control Z a few times and get back to the view I was in, more or less. And let's talk about a more realistic way to deal with this. And that is to move it while you're in camera view. This makes more sense because if I push G and start moving things around, whether it is with my mouse button or whether it is with my mouse, or whether it is with my keyboard, I can do it that way. And then that way, at least I'm seeing what's going on. Likewise, I can rotate and I can be very specific. I can rotate on the specific axes if I want to rotate on Z, right? If I decide that I want to zoom in and out, this fun little pro tip is if I do G and then Z, it'll move it up and down. But if I push Z again, I'm now able to zoom in or zoom out. And that applies to other things as well. If I do a rotate, so I push R on my keyboard and say I want to rotate on the x-axis, it's sort of rotating differently than I'm expecting. So I'm going to push X again, and now it's going straight up and down. And that has to do with whether it's rotating locally or in the world scope, basically. So that's something to be aware of, is simply by pushing that key the second time, X, Y, or Z, when you're rotating or grabbing, you can change what's actually happening. So let's say I like this angle, and maybe that's something I'm going to want to share. That's great. I think I might want to put another camera in. So I think what I'll do is I'll just duplicate this camera. So I'll do a Shift D, and I've got another camera in the same spot. I'm going to just roughly grab it and move it over here, maybe. And then let's go take a look at what I have. So if I push 0, well, it didn't go there, did it? So with this camera selected, if I push Control 0, now it selects that camera instead. And that is now the default camera. So I can go ahead and I can do the same things. I can, let's rotate this on Z and see if it gets, oops. where I want it to be. I think I'm going to grab this guy on Z as well. Move it down. Let's rotate this on X, double X, so that we can do something like that. And then let's grab this on Z, and I'm going to double push Z so that I can zoom out and get a view more like this. I'm going to grab this and maybe move it down a little bit more. Z. Getting more like the street view of this. And then let's rotate this on X, double X again, and move it up a bit. Something like that, maybe. And then I'm going to grab and double push Z so that I can zoom in a little bit more. And then maybe I've got another camera angle that I like. Now, if I want to go back to the other camera angle, I've got the same problem. If I push Control 0, nothing seems to be happening. And that's because I do have to actually select the other camera. So if I want that to become the view that I'm working with primarily, I need to actually select that camera one way or the other. And then if I do Control 0, that becomes the preferred camera.